Thanks for staying with us. This is Daybreak, and with me in studio is Professor Peter Kagwanja, the Chief Executive Officer of Africa Policy Institute. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
And I deliberately started with you because you are the only gentleman this morning.
Yes, and I should have said hi, cousin.
Hi, cousin.
I forgot to tell you hi, cousin.
Good morning, Prof.
Morning.
Many thanks for making time for the broadcast.
Thank you.
Ambassador Koki Muli Grignon is elections, governance, and democracy expert. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Also appreciated. It's been now 3 years since you were last here.
Really?
Yeah,
yeah, during elections.
Yes.
I became very popular those days. Yeah. People actually ask me if I work for Citizen.
Yeah. Now, welcome back.
Thank you.
Probably it's a consideration that we shall make. Elizabeth Adundo Yogo also joins us. She was part of the team that was keeping an eye on Tanzania. She commented on democracy and governance. Good morning, Elizabeth.
It's a good morning to you. How are you?
And lovely having you here on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Shortly, we'll be getting hold of Dr. Ruben Kigame, who will be joining us from Eldoret City. And once we establish that connection with him, he'll be part of this panel here on Daybreak. And we welcome your contributions. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. First, coming to you, Dr. Koki, when President Samia succeeded the late John Joseph Pombe Magufuli, it was meant to have been a paradigm shift away from some of the tendencies at the time displayed by Magufuli. In your view, is the outcome commensurate with the expectations that the Tanzanian people had, East Africans had, and Africans had?
Thank you very much, Ayub, for having me here. No. It was not what everybody expected, because when she came in, there was a lot of hope. People believed that she would bring in some humane touch, yeah, and advance, of course, democracy and good governance. Mm-hmm. And she had been very quiet, very supportive, yeah. And it was actually expected that, being also a woman, there would be some paradigm shift. But, well, it was for a few days, maybe a few months, a few weeks, and then the real her started coming out. Yeah. And I think, as people say, you cannot hide certain character traits for too long. Yeah. And I think that's, it became apparent that she wanted to be in power by all means necessary. And since that time, she has focused her trajectory to regaining that position by all means. Mm-hmm. Hence what we have to deal with.
Okay. And Prof, looking at some of the reforms that she had undertaken, including lifting bans on newspaper outlets, legislation passed under Magufuli to constrain the media, and NGOs which have since remained in place, allowing demonstrations in Dar es Salaam, the country's largest city. Ideally, given what's happening today, pre-election, election, and now post-election, they seem rather cosmetic or some political enticements that have never lived up to the expectations.
I think, Ayub, you are dealing with two Surhu Hassans. Two. One is very benign, very democratic, and very kind, but she died young. That Surhu died young because came to power, came up with the so-called the 4 Rs, mm-hmm. Reform, reconciliation, whatever, rebuilding, 4 Rs. And to be honest, she was loved. If you look at my article that Sunday when she came to power, it was full of praises, and I was very, very hopeful about Tanzania and hopeful about the region, because Tanzania is a major player in the region. She embraced people. I mean, it was, before she came to power, it was a very cruel Tanzania, where you'll place 16 bullets in the body of a very innocent opposition leader just for your conscience. You want to offer an alternative opinion about the direction that your country should take. And then somebody think that what they need to do is not just kill you, but kill you brutally. So Tanzania had gotten itself a very bad image. And therefore, when she started reversing those things, allowing Tundu to go back, allowing speeches to be made, that was clear. Then the second Suluhu was born, worse than Magufuli. And that's really the tragedy of Tanzania. Because the second Suluhu came, and she started from inside by purging CCM.
Yeah.
Started with removing prospective competitors. The people that Tanzanians thought within CCM should lead them into the future, those are the ones she went to. Truly, the second Suluhu is, as she's calling herself, Simbanjike, but a wild one now. Maybe those ones of the man-eating lions of Tsavo. Because she really went for everyone. Then she moved now against the opposition. And it was worse. It's not just the, we put everybody in detention, including all the opposition leaders. And 100 of Chadema members were put in. So by the time we're coming to election, it is not really election, it's actually coronation. I'm sure my sister will have more details about that. But essentially, those are the two Suluhus the region is dealing with. And what does that mean? There's something they say in psychology. You are double, what? You're not just double-faced. Yeah. But you have a psychological issue that you have two persons in one. It's a,
split personality.
Yes. Yeah. So that kind of a personality that is, divided is what we are experiencing in Tanzania. And now you start now moving. She's now moved out into Tanzania. She's doing what she's doing now. We're going to have details about that. But now she's moving to the region. Yeah. Right? Just like in Uganda, you start with the Ugandans and then you start getting Kenyans. Remember, integration is integration. You cannot say that we are integrating the selling of Coca-Cola in the region or the way we treat a tourist, and you don't integrate the way we think. And therefore, we have to have shared values. Okay.
Yeah.
And so she thinks that we can integrate in every other aspect except in our minds. What does that mean?
Okay, and of course, the consequence or the bearing it will have in the region will be extensively discussing that. Elizabeth, what was your experience in Tanzania?
Not so good, but it's something that we expected even before going to Tanzania. Getting accreditation for the mission was a problem. And then one of the regulations that was done was that if you are going to monitor the elections in Tanzania, they said you go to Zanzibar.
Okay.
That was the rule. So most of the donors and development partners pulled out because it wasn't making sense. We know the epicenter was Tanzania, not Zanzibar. Nobody had a problem with Zanzibar. But now she shifted goalposts at the last minute, saying people to go to Zanzibar. So for some of us who are lucky, we got our accreditation at the last minute, like 2 days to the day. And so we went in. I went in on a Monday. And when I went in, normally what happens is that you look for comrades because we knew how the situation was, as my senior said. It was already very tensed with the killings, with the abductions, and all that was going on. So the natural thing to do was to go in there and look for comrades, especially from Kenyans, because we know the dicey relationship between Kenya and Tanzania at the moment. Yeah. And so when I went, I met my seniors coming back into Kenya. So that one really left me exposed. But because I wanted to see for myself what was happening, because at the end of the day, you must do a report to the world, to the region, to say this is what we witnessed, this is what happened. I decided to stay back. But I later realized that it was a blunder that I shouldn't have made. I should have just come back home. Because even getting the usual briefs that happen before an election was not there. You go to INEC, and people are just busy doing their things. Nobody was giving us the briefs. Nobody was talking to us. And clearly, there was a very heavy military presence, which is very frightening. It's not a normal thing to see military all over. So when you go to a place you are new and you find military, that in itself is very frightening. And so most of the people came back to Kenya, and a few of us decided to remain. And that was the start of our problems. And especially when they learn you are Kenyan.
And you are based in which city?
I was in Dar es Salaam.
Dar es Salaam.
My base was at Ubungo, which apparently was again the epicenter of this violence. I didn't know. I just, the way you are told you are going into Dar and this will be your location. And that's how I found myself there. Yes.
And in your view, were the elections credible?
No. By all means, no. First of all, now on the election day, the elections were starting at 7 a.m. in the morning. So in any democracy, 1 hour before the election time, you'll see things happening, like people getting ready to start opening of the ballots and whatnots. But in this case, I went in at 6:30, 30 minutes to the election time, and there were no people. Even the observers were not there. Just police and the INEC members and myself. And so it didn't make sense. Like I was even thinking, is this the right place I was supposed to be? Because I was supposed to be at Matsapa Primary School. And I was like, is this the right place I'm supposed to be? Because this is not kawaida thing. Normally during election time, there's that I don't know.
Early morning rush.
Early morning rush just to do your thing and go back to your things, but it wasn't happening. So after 7 o'clock, the ballots are open and there are no people. Literally, there are no people. I stayed there for about 30 minutes, and then again a truckload of military men are dropped there. So basically, the military was the one in charge. And now you are there. Of course, as a Kenyan, that alone is danger. It's a warning sign that you need to leave.
Dr. Koki, what then does this portend for electoral integrity and democracy in the region, given that Kenya seems to be sandwiched or is at the heart of all this? Can the consequence be us infecting our values in the region, or the rise of totalitarianism infecting the Kenyan political space as we head to the elections?
Thank you, Ayub. The consequences of what has happened in Tanzania is we can have both very negative and also very not positive, but a silver lining, if you like. For example, watching President Suluhu being sworn in, there is a saying that you would expect winners to win with some kind of humility, and to allow those who lost to lose with some kind of dignity, and to demonstrate grace. And as a president, she has always said she was Mama wa Taifa, and therefore, as a Mama of Taifa, she's a symbol of unity, symbol of reconciliation, symbol of forgiveness. But to use the platform of her being sworn in as the time to threaten anybody who opposed her, and that was really contrary to what you would expect. And I'm saying it was also a demonstration of some I don't know what you call it. This word is here, but that kind of complete aggressiveness, even when you have won. You have won. So you have won. Therefore, you must show some kind of grace. And also, when you say wewe ni mama wa taifa, people expect you to have that sense of forgiveness. If people have conducted themselves in a way that is not right in your book, you forgive them and you make efforts to unite the people now, the people of the country. What I would say, I mean, despots and people who are, how do you say, dictators, they hide themselves with all these nice words, as they camouflage themselves and they define themselves in a way. But that personality veers itself out. It becomes apparent. Yeah. What I would say, for example, I was very shocked that she was congratulating her 16 competitors when she got, was it 98% of the vote? And then you ask yourself, if my sister here is saying that by 7 the turnout was very low. In fact, even by 4 p.m., the reports that were available indicated that the vote turnout was very low. And then you read from and you hear the SADC report saying that there were stuffed ballots. Then you know why the military was arriving in trucks, because then you cannot amass 98% just from this. But the consequences of this is that for Kenyans, this is a lesson. For Uganda, of course, going to elections next year, we are not holding our breath, but we can only pray and hope that it will be a little different from what we have seen. But for Kenya going to elections in 2027, we are actually a little bit fortunate than Tanzania. For example, our legal and institutional framework is more anchored in principles that support democracy. And also, one of the best things that has ever happened to this country through the 2010 Constitution is the judiciary, the making of the judiciary. For example, we can now go to court and challenge the presidential elections and other elections results and expect actually genuine outcomes. In Tanzania, once the Electoral Commission has announced the president, it cannot be challenged in any court. In fact, I wrote my PhD actually on elections and at University of Dar es Salaam School of Law, and my thesis was actually on elections, and I was challenging some of these, and one of the numerous cases you will find that I quoted in my thesis, but also in Tanzania, have been trying to change this particular kipenge so that at least for those who are dissatisfied with the outcome, they can actually be able to go to a tribunal or to a court to challenge. Because you know, once you have crossed that threshold, it's too late. There's nothing else you can do. And Mama Suluhu is here to stay with us for the next 5 years. There is no two ways about it.
2030 to be specific. And Prof, building up on that, should observers be worried at the authoritarian turn taken by the region? Of course, we'll be giving particular examples. And what Daktari pointed out, does it point to the desperate need for an overhaul of the Tanzanian constitution, given the immense power the presidency wields over institutions including the Electoral Commission, the judiciary, and the others?
I've always said that Tanzania has a heavy lifting to do, and therefore Tundu Lissu and others, those are championing a free society in Tanzania, really have a lot of work to do. Why is that? Because Tanzania is where Kenya was in 1990, 1992.
1992,
So they're about 2 or 3 decades away. Why? Because the leaders from Jakaya Kikwete, now coming to Magufuli, and now to Samia, simply concentrated on ensuring that CCM continued to have the stranglehold that Kanu had in Kenya. I think this is a tribute to Mzee Moi, because Mzee Moi read the signs of the time. We can say many things about him, but one thing we can never begrudge him is the fact that when he saw the tide turning, he turned.
Despite the hardline voices.
Yes, there were a lot of hardline voices in Kano. You remember he had to call in parliament, even the military, and you know, they had Rhinas within Kano, so that they listened to his rationale about why he want to remove Section 2A of the Constitution and allow Kenya to be democratic. And there was a lot of, you know, how do we go about this? Obviously, what followed was not beautiful. It was ugly, but at least he gave Kenya a chance. Kikwete and his successors did not give Tanzania a chance. They simply clammed on the opposition. And the opposition rose. I agree with them, Baregu Mwashegu, and others. We grew up with them, intellectuals who were championing democracy, who are doing what we are doing here in Kenya, only that their circumstances were a little bit difficult. Fast forward, you now find that what Tanzania has done is to get more inclined to the south, where we had authoritarian one-party systems, or authoritarian multi-party systems that are in reality one-party systems. And therefore, Tanzania has been part of the troika of SADC, you know, where the gang up, you remember, in Zambia, you know, that's the threat they were having, particularly after Kenneth Kaunda left. His follower was worse. Then you move to Malawi, but more significantly in Zimbabwe. You know, you move to, what do you call it, Mozambique. Of course, Swaziland and Lesotho have been serious cases of crampdown. So that's where it was. The frontline states became the frontline states against the democracy, which is ironical because they were frontline states against apartheid and racism in South Africa. And now they become frontline states against democracy. And what now Tanzania has done is to export that ideology of authoritarianism, sanctioned by the state, as part of what we are integrating in East Africa. So apart from integrating trade, tourism, integrating our our transport infrastructure and all, we are now reintegrating authoritarianism. You find in Uganda what they are doing is almost a script of what is happening in Dar es Salaam. BCJ is now in jail. His colleagues are in jail ahead of the election that is coming next year. And you know, and Kudurisu and others have been the same in view of the election that has just taken place. Kenya has always been exceptional.
Okay, we'll talk about our exceptionality when we get back from the break. Of course, Prof. and Elizabeth and Dr. Koki here on the broadcast, and what the opposition in Uganda now calls the preparation, the takeoff for a lifetime presidency under Museveni, given the scrapping of the age limit in 2017 by the NRM party, which is the ruling party in Uganda. The hashtag on X is Citizen Day Break. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with the gentlemen and the ladies after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.